Welcome to the International Master Special. We're going to be looking at an assortment of games where IMs get checkmated in the center of the board. So this guy opens up with an English. I play a reverse Sicilian. You guys know I love to play the Grand Prix with the white pieces, so I play a reverse Grand Prix with the black pieces. I like to pitch systems to my subscribers, to many of my students, because you get an equal position against anyone and everyone. Then may the best man win. People like to argue against strong players, and I think people do consider IMs to be strong players, that you can only beat them once and then you won't beat them again because they know you play that system. And that's just false, verifiably false. For example, we have this game where I was black, this game, this game, this game, all different games against an IM where the games were all different, but the results were all the same. You play a system because against a sharp opening repertoire, it takes like 10,000 hours to master, and then there's always one more trick. Versus a system where it takes about 10 hours to master, you're playing the same system against a multitude of setups, so they need to understand their exact setup, whereas you just need to understand your structure, your post, your routes, your rotations, and your motifs. It's a good argument to play systems. Let's get into it. E3, knight f6, we get pawn to d4. What would you do in this position? So many people make the mistake of pushing. Why is pushing a mistake? What square does it weaken? Every time you push a pawn, you need to know that it lets go of the square diagonally to where it's viewing prior to it moving. So when it moves, it lets go of f4, and white's knight can easily route to f4, where it will then stay posted for a good amount of time, and bad things can happen. So maintain the tension. That's just another way of saying it, but you got to dig a little deeper, right? Maintaining the tension, saying something of the sort is just too generic. Like, I hear that all the time. What does it mean? Explain it. Thank you. Bishop to e7. This is kind of what you want to be doing. The point is that in a queenless middle game, and you guys know I love endgames, in a queenless middle game, black stands better here. It's a goofy position, but why? It's kind of very King's Indian-y. You know that exchange variation on e5 where the bishop lands on d8? Well, black's pawns are less committed. They're also all next to each other, so in essence, there's no holes, whereas white cannot say the same. He has a bunch of holes in his position. He has an overcommitment, so you kind of know where his pawns are going to need to go, and you can rotate your pieces around that manner. This bishop, you might argue, is good, but you go c6, and then this bishop doesn't want to be here. Whereas black's bishop has an assortment of lanes it could take, and your development just falls into place very quickly. That is why black is slightly better in this position. So we don't get that. We get knight to c3, castles, both sides developing, and c6. What is the point of c6? Things to note about c6 when you see them in queen's pawns openings, whether it be a check perk, whether it be a perk, whether it be from a queen's pawn opening, it's not only to shut down this Catalan bishop or this fianchettoed bishop over here on the king side, it's actually in respect to this knight as well. The point is to jump this knight into the pocket. People who play the Bourdonnais against the French know what I mean when you guys play knight a3, knight c2. It's the same concept from the opposite end of the board. See, that's the beautiful thing about systems. You can mix the Bourdonnais, the Grand Prix, and then you have a cohesive set of motifs that you follow, and it's very easy. It's very easy. So knight a6, knight to c7, and they get some queenside expansion. So we are attacking on the king side. They are attacking on the queen side, kind of King's Indian-esque. Queen to e8, right? It's the same thing. Why do you route your queen to e1 in the Grand Prix? Well, to guard the knight and to infiltrate on the king side. Here, okay, yes, it guards the pawn just a tad from any expansion, but it's the same idea. I love to pitch systems. Queen to b3, bishop to e6, right? No need to get discovered, checked on, develop. And then d5. It is the best move, but I quite love this position for black because that is a tangible weakness. That is a blockaded pawn, right? Now you can even relate this to the Banco. You watch the Banco video, this pawn gets blockaded, this bishop gets shut down. Same motifs. Pawn to f3, I don't know what that's about. Pawn to g5. The funny thing, it's kind of Dutch-esque. We're making so many connections, so many relationships. But the point is, like, you get to push all these pawns in front of your king, and ironically, your king is greater than your counterparts, or rather, safer than your opponent's king. That's the fascinating thing about these f5 systems. People are reluctant to push it, but what if it meant your king is safe, right? People are only reluctant to push it because of the weakness it does to your king, but what if it strengthens your king? Also, let me know, guys, if you want me to look over my games like I've been doing so, or if you don't care, if you don't want to see them. But for example, like the last couple weeks, I've had winning records against GMs, IMs, always FMs, and I don't know. I think I have a pretty fun playing style. So let me know. If you don't want to see it, I'll look at people who are actually good at the game. We get pawn to e4, opening up the dark squared bishop onto g5. And what's black's best move here? Well, what do engines love? Space. Gain some space. They try to lock it up. How do you attack their structure? Usually you attack the base of their structure. Here, you can't do it, so the next best thing is h5. You're pushing all the pawns in front of your king, but it's the safest king in the world because the board is closed where you need it to be closed. Pawn to h3, now what? King to g7, right? There's no rush to take on g4. First build, first brew your attack. Now look at this guy, King f2. I mean, it is the best move, but when you have your opponent running away, it just feels good. It just feels like you have control over the game. Now you can let it brew a little more. You can have some nice routes, or you can release the tension, sacrifice, and still be winning. I prefer the latter. His king moves. Now you have a couple of passed pawns, and your pieces really just get into the position. Your pieces just really get into the position. It's equal, but it's quote unquote equal. Where is his king going? The c file. So where do you put your rook? The c file. And there's a bunch of threats in the midst. Only this bishop were out of the pawn chain. It could have been, but we rushed it a little bit. But still fine. King to c2. Knight to b5. Knight to b5. They are pinned. They are pinned. Your knight jumps into the position. You could see their king going to d3. Very Dutch-esque. Takes. How do you win this game? Knight to e5, check. King takes. Rook takes d2, and that is checkmate. Boom. Bada bing. But wait, there's more. What if I told you there's more? All right, we're going to go over some IM games. For example, solve this puzzle. Solve this puzzle. How do you win? How do you win? This knight is flimsy. This pawn is important because this rook and this knight, this pawn rather, has a hole in black's position. So you kind of just want to blast open the king. Kind of annoying that they have two defenders here. Two defenders here, don't you think? Oh boy, we stuttered. I don't like stuttering. You like stuttering? Another reason, while you guys think on how to win this position as white, another reason I'm doing this is because people, this isn't only a chess thing. This is like a life thing, but let's tie it to titles. They're like, oh my goodness, GM. Oh my goodness, I am. Wow. And then they really like idolize figure. Like I've noticed a big problem is that I don't even like the expression the common man, but people, right? Because we're all people, idolize figures. And then it's like you put them on a pedestal, right? If you guys have ever done this, you know, with women, you know how it turns out. But it turns out the same way in life, and people don't understand that. Never idolize someone. Meet eye to eye, look eye to eye with everybody, because at the end of the day, we're all just people. It's like these people idolize figures, and then it's like they don't even want to be themselves. And that to me is a tragedy. That is just very, very sad. You should always want to be yourself because we're all people. And then, you have all the stuff in your arsenal to become the best or better than you were the previous day. So that's just a little bit of a tangent, a little bit of a viewpoint. I don't like when people idolize people. On to a3. Pick the knight, remove it from d5. The knight moves, and very good. You sacrifice on d5, you take back, and they're just dead lost because they are going to get checkmated. Okay, apparently this is holdable. Taking is a mistake, but it's just collapsible, right? These are positions only engines could hold. Bada bing, bada boom. This game was quite fascinating. So I don't even know what this opening is. Maybe he was trying to pre-move me. But we get a position that I'm not familiar with at all, and then I had like 99.8%. All right, castling is ridiculous. See, you should never do this. Usually, extending is an overextension unless you're trapping this bishop, which we're not trapping the bishop, but they committed their king to the queen side. So this just gains as tempo for queenside expansion. Now the queen is open, the knight can route over, the pawns come in. The target is c3, the focal point is c3. Once you collapse c3, you collapse their king. And in essence, that's kind of just what happens. Put up no resistance, and then he just resigned or abandoned the game. But yeah, thank you as always for watching. We'll have a Banco video incoming. Comment down below any ideas you have, any videos you want made. And if I also like the idea, they will be made. So thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you pretty soon. Peace. Boom.